If you were white, how much do you think would have changed?
If I was white, how much do I think would have changed?
respectively.
I would have been able to get a job in commercial aviation, which I wasn't because I was black. Although I qualified, I had the experience, I had everything I needed to be an airline pilot. They would not accept me in the early stages of the middle stages of the 20th century. Our first airline pilot didn't get a job until 1972. That was like 31 years after we started training at Tuskegee, 31 years that we could not get a job in commercial aviation. They had a little game they played with us, Catch-22. We go to the airlines, we'd ask for a job. Well, you can't get a job unless you belong to the union. We'd go to the union. Well, you can't join the union unless you have a job. So that was the way they kept us out. But Frontier Airlines hired the first commercial pilot. His name was Robert Ashby, Tuskegee Airmen. And that was like about 1972. So how much would I have been? I would have profited a lot more had I been white. I could have probably stayed in the services had I been white. Opportunity in the service after 1948, when Truman desegregated the service, slowly became better. Opportunities, we began to get, our people began to go up to general staff, they get positions as general. So today, I think the military is probably the most colorblind society that we have in this country.
How silly do you think it was for the whites discrimination?
I'm sorry?
How silly do you think it was for white to discriminate black?
How what?
Silly.
I'm not hearing you.
How silly do you think it was for white to discriminate black just because of the color of their skin? How
strange was it all?
Silly.
Huh?
Like,
silly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't hear well, so you bear with me. Of course it's stupid, it's idiotic, it's ignorant. It's all the things that you can name it. But they had their reasons for doing it. And basically it was ignorance and insecurity. People who could not stand the competition, for one, who needed somebody to look down on to improve their self-worth. This is the kind of people, this is the kind of person who discriminated. Somebody who couldn't amount to much on their own and needed to uplift their persona by looking down on somebody else. And that's basically the root of segregation and discrimination, as well as competition for jobs, competition in various sense. And it was predominantly in the South that never forgave us for taking the slaves away from them, so they had to pick their own cotton.
Did you feel abandoned or mad at the whites' discrimination?
Neither. I didn't let it bother me when it was prevalent. I couldn't rent a room in a hotel. I did something else. When I couldn't go to a restaurant to eat, fine, I ate at home. I went to another restaurant. When I couldn't get a job, I went into business for myself. So I did not let discrimination keep me from succeeding. And I was very fortunate, I was blessed throughout after I sold my business, my life in the private sector. I always had somebody ahead of me opening doors for me, white men, or white women for that matter. I always had somebody ahead of me who was opening doors and bringing me up with them. So I really didn't suffer in California, for example. I really didn't suffer much, if any, from segregation. Segregation went out a long time ago, and discrimination. It didn't affect me.